Am I the a-hole for not attending my brother's surprise birthday because it was planned at my house without my consent? I, 33 female, am currently living with my partner and 2 children. My younger brother, 30 male, recently had a milestone birthday and my parents decided to throw him a surprise party. Normally, I'd be all for it, but here's where things got complicated. A week before the event, my mom casually mentions that they've planned the surprise party at my house because it's more spacious and centrally located for everyone else. This was the first I'd heard of it, and they hadn't asked for my permission beforehand. I was immediately overwhelmed because my partner has been recovering from surgery and our house is hardly in a state for hosting. I told my mom that hosting wasn't possible and suggested a few alternative venues. She got upset and said everything was already arranged and changing locations last minute would be too complicated. Feeling cornered, I stood my ground and said they needed to relocate the party or scale it down. The fallout was immediate. My brother, who was accidentally clued in, called me selfish for not accommodating the family on his special day. Wow, that is such an opposite reaction to what I would have had. Like, if somebody planned a surprise party for me and then I find out that somebody is being pressured and offering up their house while they can't, I would be embarrassed and I would be like, oh my God, like all of this stress on this person just for my birthday, right? I would like call up the whole thing. I'll be like, you're all insane, right? I don't need a surprise party. A surprise party should be fun for everyone, right? And the brother instead is being fucking entitled. That is so crazy. That is so crazy. My parents accused me of ruining what could have been a perfect family gathering. In the end, they had hastily rearranged the event at a cousin's place, but the atmosphere was strained and several relatives made passive-aggressive comments about my absence. I mean, she could have still gone, I guess. But I also get if she didn't want to be around them anymore. I feel terrible for missing the party and causing such a commotion, but also frustrated that my boundaries were disregarded. Am I the a-hole for not hosting the party at my house and choosing to skip it altogether? Yeah, it's really weird how the mom, why would the mom not just tell her? It's like almost as if the mom knew, probably the mom knew that this wasn't gonna be a good plan. And also her husband recovering from surgery. Yeah, divorce. Wait, divorce? No, in this case the husband is good. Divorce the family. Divorce the family. Yeah, but obviously not the a-hole. Ridiculous. That brother reaction too, so entitled. That's crazy. If somebody arranged a surprise party for me, I found out there was a problem with the venue and the person was under stress, I would feel so embarrassed that somebody is being pushed and forced just for my party, crazy. Oh my God, this title is insane. My mom demands I move out of my apartment because my neighbor is too attractive. There is so many things alone in this title. Insanity, right? So, first of all, moving out because neighbor too attractive, but also none of mom's business. Sounds like my girlfriend. I mean, yeah, but that's different. That's your girlfriend. That's not your mom, right? Okay, so this just happened. I'm still in shock. I, 25 female, moved into a nice apartment a few months ago. It's a great place, safe neighborhood, decent rent, and I even get along with my neighbors. One of them, let's call him Jake, is a super chill guy about my age. We've chatted a few times and he's just friendly. That's it. Nothing romantic or weird. Yesterday, my mom came over for a visit. She took one look at Jake as he was leaving his apartment, and her whole demeanor changed. She asked me, "Who's that?" I told her he was my neighbor, and she immediately started grilling me. "Do you like him? Are you dating him? Are you sleeping with him?" Jesus Christ, what an intrusive mom. Holy fuck. I don't think in my whole life my mom has ever asked me if I've slept with anyone. That is just so intrusive. Like, I don't think you want to know. Like, I don't want to know whether my mom has slept with someone, and I don't think my mom wants to know whether I have slept with someone, right? Like, I wouldn't want to know. Hello? That is weird. I laughed and said, "No, Mom, he's just my neighbor." I thought that was the end of it. Nope. This morning she called me at 7 a.m. and said she'd been thinking all night and decided I had to move. Why? Because Jake is too attractive and it's only a matter of time before he seduces you and ruins your life. What the fuck? She's 25. Wait, your mom has asked you stuff like that, Sleepy? That is weird. My mom has never asked me, like, only soft things, right? Like, as a teenager, my mom has asked whether, you know, I kissed a boy, you know? She has asked that. Like, only, like, the very soft things. But that's basically where it ended. And obviously, we had the talk of, like, you know, protection at some age, right? But my mom has never asked any more than that. And like, I feel like if I had a kid, I wouldn't want to know either. You just don't want to know that about your kids, and you don't want to know that about your parents, right? It's just, yeah, insult mom. Jake is too attractive and will ruin her life. I was like, what? She went on a rant about how men like him only have one thing on their minds. Isn't mom a little bit late with this talk? Like, she's 25. And how I was too naive to see it. I tried to tell her that Jake and I barely even talk, but she wasn't having it. Then she said, I kid you not, if you don't move out by next month, I'll have to come over and take care of him myself. What does that even mean? I told her she was being ridiculous and hung up. She blew up my phone with messages like, "You're disrespecting me. I'm only trying to protect you and you'll thank me one day." I don't know. Divorce your mom? Seriously? Divorce your mom? I think this is a divorce your mom case. My mom had to suffer. Wait, Doinus, did you tell your mom in detail? Did you actually tell your mom? Yeah, divorce the mom. I blocked her number and went no contact because she does ridiculous shit like this all the time. Let me know if... I think the way this is written, and also let me know if you want any more stories, I think this might be very well fake, but as always, we take it at face value for the entertainment, right? But yeah. Not the a-hole, but maybe give your neighbor a heads up. I don't know what your mom is capable of, but if she potentially could do something crazy, maybe give him a chance to prepare with cameras or something. Something like, look, this is awkward, but for safety's sake, I'm showing you this pic of my mom. That's a good way to make sure he moves. Win-win, sort of. Oh, God. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmother she was never important to me and telling my younger brother what she said? My dad and stepmother got married when I, 17 male, was 9. My brother, 15 male, was almost 7. Our mom had died 2 years before that. It was fast and all, but we did okay with it. My dad always had a bad relationship with our mom's side of the family, and when she died, he tried to cut them off from us. But our grandparents were given visitation rights, and this was before he met our stepmother. When my dad and stepmother got married, it was pretty obvious she didn't like the visitation setup. My dad and grandparents used an app, and they would ask for specific days, and he had to approve at least 3 a month. That was always how it went. We did get asked a lot when we went home if our grandparents had mentioned our stepmother at all and if they said mean stuff about her. We always told them our grandparents didn't talk about her at all and rarely mentioned that. We'd go there and do fun stuff, and sometimes we'd do something to remember mom. But what they pictured those visits as was so totally different than what they really were. Mother's Day was a pretty bad day each year with that. My grandparents got Mother's Day the second year after mom died and just before dad's wedding. They'd asked for it every year, and my dad and stepmother didn't want us to go. But once Dad asked if we wouldn't rather spend that day with him and stepmother instead of grandparents, and I said I liked being with Mom's family, and my brother felt the same. So my dad approved it every year. My stepmother always hated it. They use an app for it and it has its own calendar, and once the day has been approved, my dad can't reverse it. Okay, so this is how they do the visitation. Unless my brother and I were sick. A while ago, my dad approved a date and then realized a few hours later it was my stepmother's birthday. She was angry, and while I was at my grandparents', which my dad and stepmother didn't know, she called and told them they had to give up the day and why. They refused. She went on this long rant about how she's tired of them acting like they should get any time with us and how they don't realize she's the most important woman in our lives, and she was equally, if not more important than Mom ever was. Because we were so young when she died. I wonder if she's really said it like that. I mean, it doesn't matter. It still seems like there's some raging jealousy against the dead mom, but Jesus Christ. She told my grandparents they were nothing, and sooner or later they would realize she would always come before them with us. It pissed me off. She had no idea I was there or that I could hear her talk to my grandparents like that. But I went home and I started yelling at her that I heard everything and how much she sucked for talking to them like that. Then I told her she was never important to me and she would never ever come before them. I said she's not my mom and I never even saw her as family. And I said if her and Dad ever divorced, I wouldn't stay in touch with her because she was never actually important. She was just there. My brother got home from his friend's house and I told him what she'd said. That made him angry too. When my dad got home and found out, he told me to apologize, but I didn't. We started therapy a couple of weeks ago because my dad and stepmother wanted the apology and for us to stop being different with her. They said it wasn't fair. My brother said she's not his mom either, and he wished Dad had never married her, and he hoped they'd get divorced because he didn't want to be in the same house as her anymore. This pissed my dad and stepmother off because I told them about the stuff she said. Dad told me I had ruined that relationship and had treated her badly. This gets even worse. Dad told me I had ruined that relationship. Kids don't ruin the relationship, come on. And had treated her badly when all she did was try to explain how she had raised us and had been a part of our life longer than Mom. And he said I took that and went nuclear on her. He said I should be more understanding than that. I mean, there's obviously some weird jealousy going on with her not wanting the grandparents to be involved, right? And that is obviously just her problem. And kids just feel that jealousy growing up, and that is exactly why they never had a good relationship, right? You need to respect the actual mom and her inheritance, basically, right? Otherwise, the kids will never like you. But yeah, this is pretty insane. And then the dad going like, oh, you know, you ruined the relationship. No, she ruined that herself. And I mean, I guess the dad as well. Am I the a-hole for leaving my mom's house and going to my dad's after fighting with my half-siblings about us not having the same dad? Wait, why do you fight over that? That's like just a fact, isn't it? I grew up with my half-brother. We both have the same mom, right? But I never actually, I never thought of him as actually like half-brother. Like, he's my brother and we're very close. In fact, I'm actually gonna visit him tomorrow. I, 16 male, have a different dad than my half-siblings, 14, 12, and 11. My mom is married to their dad, and the two of them act like I'm theirs, and like my dad is just some random dude I see every other week. They try downplaying the fact he's my dad, and he has 50% custody of me. I told my mom before they should cut it out, and she said I technically have two dads, and the one at her house is better. And I should be grateful he was willing to take me on and claim me as his. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, that is like disgusting. Being like, oh, be grateful. Be grateful this person is willing to take you on. Ugh. He told me I don't get to call another man dad in his house and stuff like that, which pisses me off. That is crazy. And it makes me want to do things that wouldn't be good. Okay, this is a little bit unclear. Like, makes me want to do things that wouldn't be good. Like this. But hey, this does definitely sound like written by a 16-year-old. Like, you know, what does this mean, right? My half-siblings know I live somewhere else every other week, but they treat it like it's totally normal for someone to be with a non-parent half the time. They always tell me our dad lives there and I shouldn't call someone else dad. I found photos of my dad holding me when I was born and showed them, but they still acted like it was wrong. Okay, so the siblings don't really understand that he has a different dad? How old are the siblings? 14, 12, and 11. I mean, they definitely have the capacity to understand. When I was younger, because of how bad things were, I asked my dad if he was my real dad. He said he was and reassured me that he had no doubts, but I was so frustrated by it that we did a DNA test and it proved he is my biological dad. I never told mom or let anyone in her family know because she would lose her shit on dad if she knew. Wait, so the mom doesn't know either? I'm so confused. They try downplaying the fact, no, he has 50% custody. Of course mom knows. I never told mom or let anyone in her family know because she would lose her shit on dad if she knew. I mean, from what it sounds like is the mom wants to pretend to the outside that he's not from a different father. But, I mean, she only has 50% custody, so that's not going to work out anyways. But yeah, okay. But I know 100% he's my dad, not my half-sibling's dad. And I know that being married to my mom doesn't mean he's got to push my dad out. It's getting harder to stay calm when the stuff comes up at mom's house. Then we had an incident a couple of weeks ago and there's trouble coming out of it. I was at my mom's house and my half-siblings wanted to do something for their dad's 40th birthday. They wanted me to buy a gift from all four of us and I said no. They said he's our dad and he deserves it and I said no and he's not my dad. I mean, here's the thing. You can still make him a present for his first birthday, right? But anyways, they ended up talking about the fact. They called me a turd and made a huge deal out of me denying he's my dad. Yeah, it seems like the siblings just don't know that he isn't. I told them they can't undo the fact my dad is my dad in every single way. I told them I don't even like their stupid dad and to get the fuck away from me. The youngest went to her room, but the other two stayed and said I was such a jerk and so mean and I should be better. My half-brother called me retarded and said I need to stop treating our dad like he's some random guy. He said our dad deserves way better and he told me he wasn't going to stop and they'd steal money from me if they had to. My half-sister said they were too young to work or have their own money and to deserve something. I said he'd get nothing and that was too bad. So sad. I think this person is not a native speaker and that is why this is kind of like, I don't think this is just because of them being 16. They wouldn't drop it and even tried to force, or maybe this is how youth talks and I have like just no clue. They wouldn't drop it and even tried to force their way into my room, at which point I snapped and told them to get the fuck away from me and I didn't give a crap about their dad. I called him a giant territorial asshole who can't accept his wife had a kid before she met him, and I said I'd rather be an orphan than be their dad's kid. Then I left the house and went home to my dad. He was shocked, but he helped me calm down. I refused to go back to mom's after that. She called the police and they asked me if I'd come home, and I said not willingly. So now my mom has filed in court and wants dad to lose custody for not making me go back. I'm also getting so much shit for leaving and for fighting with my half-siblings. And when she found out why, she told me to find gratitude for my real dad, and she means her husband. There's a lot here. Like, generally, obviously, I would agree that, like, if he raises you and lives with you, like you can have some respect for that person, but he's destroyed all that respect, right? By like saying weird shit like, oh, you can only call me dad. Like that is just like some really, really, really weird shit, right? And it seems like the mom is embarrassed, and it seems like the half siblings truly don't really know. So, but he's only 16, right? But he shouldn't really blame his siblings for it. It seems like the siblings are under the impression like they don't really understand it. And it seems like the mom tries to kind of like deny that fact too. And they just want to pretend they're all from her husband. But yeah, not the a-hole, weird shit. Not the a-hole, your mom sounds like a real shit. You're 16, the court will take what you want into consideration. Hopefully you can live with your dad full-time and get away from your mom and her toxic husband and her awful brat kids. Yeah, the kids, I don't know. I wouldn't blame the kids that much. They're very young. They're younger than OP. The 14-year-old should kind of understand, I think. But I don't know. You don't know what the mom told them. It sounds like they were manipulated into thinking something else. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend I will happily walk away from a relationship that isn't serving me? Interesting word choice there. I, 29 female, have known my boyfriend, 29 male, for a year. Together for 10 months. There are a lot of pros to him, but ever since the second date... Ever since the second date, Jesus Christ, I have noticed my boyfriend is pretty indifferent about me and my life. During a 2 to 3 hour date, he talked the entire time. The 2 times he asked me a question, he would cut me off and start talking about himself again. This behavior became pretty repetitive throughout the relationship, and I have tried my best to communicate how it bothers and affects me. And they're 29. Like, this sounds like they're very young maybe, but no, they're 29. About 2 days ago, as I'm driving, he called to tell me TikTok is back and immediately says, I know you're busy, so I'll let you go. In a passive-aggressive way, which I'm not proud about, said, in a passive-aggressive way, said, the drive is going great since I know you're dying to know. This became a whole argument because he felt I was disrespecting her in front of my sister. Okay, we don't really know where that sister is, but somehow it's in front of her. The next day, we had a conversation where I acknowledged my shortcoming, apologized, and explained I let my frustration take over. I also communicated to him that I'm unhappy in the relationship because of his indifference towards my life, and that I need him to fix this. I told him as well that I will continue fighting for this relationship, but that I will not stay in a relationship that isn't serving me when I know I can provide myself everything I need to be happy and feel fulfilled. I think it's an interesting word choice to be like, it isn't serving me. But obviously, it is fair, right? This is more like a thing of like actually just not being respected, right? It's not even like serving. Serving is such a, that term sounds like so cold, right? Like it sounds like literally like you made a pro and a con list and you found out that the con list has one more con than the pro list does. That's what it sounds like to me, right? That's why I was like, oh, it's a bit weird. But obviously in this case, it's absolutely fair. It seems like he doesn't really care much for her. Now he's upset because my comment was rude and I'm making him feel like he's not adding value to my life. Am I the a-hole? Edit, I think it's worth clarifying why I decided to go on after that second date. Yeah, it's crazy. She already realized so early. After those first 2 dates, I communicated my concerns around this behavior and that I didn't think we were a good match. His response to this was very apologetic and he tied it to nerves of dating someone. I decided to give him some grace and continue getting to know him instead of judging based on 2 initial interactions, but then still, it never changed in 10 months. Now, as we continued dating, unfortunately, it became more apparent that he had to truly make an effort to show interest in my life because it didn't come naturally. That is like, this sounds so sad. It sounds like they're not even really in love. I don't know. I will also admit that he heavily love-bombed me, something that even became a joke between the two of us. Now, in hindsight, the love bombing made me ignore these very huge red flags in the relationship. Now that some time has passed, I've realized how serious this is and how I'm unhappy in this relationship. The good news is this all opened my eyes a lot and showed me I'm not being unreasonable for expecting a partner that shows interest in my life. Yeah, I think this is like just normal, right? You should have interest in each other's lives. But it's crazy to me that she did go for 10 months. Was she even like, it sounds like she, like, I don't even think she was in love, right? If you're already on the second date, like, you know, like, I don't know, like, I wouldn't fall in love like that, right? You wouldn't get a crush on that, would you? Sometimes we see the signs where we're like, nah, I can fix this. Spoiler, we can't, yeah. Maybe he's very, very handsome, you know? It could be. It could be.